Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Something showed up on Reverb that I had to offer 2.5 times the asking price to ensure that I got it, because I wanted one so badly again. We'll get into that story at the third unboxing, but first, I actually had a couple of consigned guitars sent to me. Craig didn't have time to list these himself. He sent them to me and said, hey, do your magic, man. And I said, okay. But he was telling me it's nothing too crazy in here, just a couple of Les Pauls that he had in his collection. And it appears he did a fantastic job packing this thing up. So let's go ahead and see what's inside. In what appears to be a 90s Gibson USA case. I thought he was sending me some slightly more modern stuff. So inside here. Oh, wow. Nice. So it's an older case with a slightly newer guitar. This is one of the Les Paul tributes. So the Tribute series is a fantastic value for a Les Paul studio style instrument. It's not quite as fancy as a full-blown studio, but it's just a really cool guitar. When I first started to get into modern day Gibsons, it's the Tributes that I like to try out first because they were relatively inexpensive back in the day and they just offered such a great value. Brand new, you had these nice satin finishes with some very nice color options, but it looks like this one matches the specifications of a Gibson Les Paul 60s Tribute. It feels like it's got one of the thinner necks, but the reason I say that they're so great is because you can find humbucker variations, you can find P90 variations, you can find mini humbuckers as well. It just depends on what style of Tribute you get. But the fact that this has a 90s Gibson case, that is a great upgrade here. But it looks like this one is coming with just the Gibson owner's manuals. So these have the traditional mahogany body with solid carved maple top, mahogany neck with a slim 60s neck profile, aka why it's called the 60s Tribute. Burstbucker 1 and Burstbucker 2 pickups in here. And there was an option between Grover tuners or the Mini Tune automated tuners. And it looks like we got the nicer Grovers on this one. And something else that's cool about the Tribute series is sometimes these will have baked maple fretboards, but this particular run has the true rosewood. I'll say the condition of this is very good. You can feel that the satin finish has kind of been glossed over on the neck because somebody's been playing it. There's a little bit of an impression mark right there, maybe a couple right here. But as far as these Tributes go, normally these things get trashed because they weren't all that expensive, as we were talking about before, and people would just gig them and go crazy. But I really like being able to see the maple top on the side. It's kind of like a faux binding effect. So if you're interested in this one, you can check it out on Reverb or message me directly for a better price. Moving on to guitar number 2 from Craig here. He said they were both within about the same realm of things, so hopefully we've got one of the 50s Tributes in here or something, because I just love the P90 variations on these, because it was at that time one of the cheaper ways to get a P90 equipped Gibson without spending too much, and yet it'd still be pretty cool. So in here, now this might look like the same case that was just there, but it's not. This is one of the more modern ones. You can tell because of the handle style and the latches and the fact that it doesn't have the combo lock up here. So this is definitely more so an era correct case if we're dealing with a same era style guitar. Typically speaking, the 90s cases are worth a little bit more, but it also depends what kind of guitar are you getting a case for. Do you really need to pay the premium for the 90s one? Yeah, not necessarily, as long as you're getting a pre-2019 case, because 2020, 2021, they kind of just went with a whole bunch of different manufacturers. You just got to check out the case yourself. But inside here, oh, yes, it is. I didn't imagine that they would be the exact same finish. Okay, we got a little bit more to talk about on this one. So this is definitely one of the 60s Tributes this time because we have the P90 pickups. Now, if I was going to choose one, I'd be buying this one. But remember how I told you guys these have satin finishes stock from the factory? Somebody has went to town super polishing, and I'm so happy I finally get to document this phenomenon. You can do this to a satin finish if you have enough hand power, or I guess sometimes you can use one of those buffers to it. That's why satin finishes are cheaper. It's because they don't quite go through the full process. Now, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of satin finishes. Don't get me wrong. There are some high-grade ones where they actually take it from a gloss and then buff it down to a really nice satin. That's right. These can both look the exact same if you really want it to. But now that we've got them side by side, you can actually tell there's a little bit more brown in this one, so that makes it a tobacco sunburst, whereas this one is a vintage sunburst because of it being more black on the edges. Very minute difference, but hey, a difference nonetheless. So besides our all glossed over top here, let's see. It looks like they left the back alone. We've got a little bit of a finish blemish right there. Like, I can't feel it, but you can definitely see it, so maybe that was a factory type thing. Looks like we've got some buckle worming areas right here. That's not too bad. But it looks like they only did that whole super polished job to the front, because having a satin finish neck is actually a good thing. Definitely some sort of just a cosmetic upgrade here on that. I'm probably wondering, well, why didn't they do it on the headstock? Well, you got to be careful buffing that, because you might actually end up going through your decals. But looking at the finish options here, they actually still called this one Vintage Sunburst, so that's kind of strange. Because even the stock photo shows a dark border, so this one being brown, it makes me wonder, was it like a dealer exclusive? But it looks like this run is the same as the last one besides pickups. And obviously the neck profile, that's where they get 50s versus 60s. I wouldn't make that big of a qualm between the neck profiles on Gibson USAs, because a 60s neck on a USA just means it's a nice slim taper. It's going to have the same width, it's just going to be a little bit slimmer on the back. Whereas the 50s neck variation, it's just a little bit more rounded. It's not the same as Custom Shop. When you talk a full R7, R8 baseball bat neck in Custom Shop, those are big necks. These just have a little bit more roundedness to them. They're not necessarily huge by any means. So if you can kind of dance between the two and you're not that picky, I don't think you're going to have a big problem between 50s or 60s. So very cool. Thanks, Craig, for sending these in. I'll get them sold for you, hopefully today. I wouldn't imagine these things would last long, because believe it or not, they've started to become kind of hard to find. And it's especially nice that these ones actually have cases, because I believe they shipped in gig bags. So now we get to talk about the tail. So I think it was one morning or one evening, I forget which, this thing showed up on Reverb. It was $100, and I was like, yes, yes, yes. I've always wanted one of these again, because about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a guy on an internet forum that I used to frequent quite often that was selling like 3 of these things, and I bought them. I think they were about the same price back then. They were like $150. And I ended up selling them because I couldn't figure them out. But after clicking on that listing, my heart sank. Local pickup only. It's like, no. I've been in this business long enough to know if somebody doesn't want to ship, offering to pay for shipping is not going to cut it. You're going to have to go above and beyond. So I 2.5 times X's offer, and then, yeah, he's like, okay, I'll ship to you. Because just saying you'll pay for shipping, I mean, that just gets them the price they were wanting and a sale. I mean, you got to give them a little something more to make them actually want to do it. And a high offer will make them think, okay, I can just take it to the UPS store. They can pack and ship it. I know that stuff's not cheap. But it actually turned out this guy was a recently retired UPS driver. So I'd imagine his store didn't charge him the $200 I had to pay in the half Les Paul episode. So inside here, do I have the other half of that guitar? No, I don't. But it was something I was missing in the Bob Marley Les Paul episode. It is one of the coolest display cases you will ever see. So these are official brand Gibson display cases that you would sometimes get with limited edition special guitars, and there's a few different variations of these that you can find. Like there's the Bob Marley one we were talking about earlier, but obviously that had a few other custom designs on it. But you can date yours by looking at what emblem is right here. So this is custom art historic. So that tells us this is like late 90s, early 2000s. You can also find some that have the more modern Gibson Custom Shop logo to them. So if you're a finicky collector guy like me, unfortunately, there's only so many things I can accurately display in this one. But I'm so happy I was finally able to get one again, because I get it. I could probably build one of these for probably less than $100, but it's not the official Gibson one. So having this, I'm not selling that. But these things always confused me when I had the other ones, because they actually hook by the strap buttons, but it's a really tight fit. But let's see if we can figure it out, because here's a guitar that has the correct Gibson custom logo associated with it. It's not quite a normal Les Paul, but let's see here. Goes in by that strap button, and uh-oh. Yep, we cannot display this guitar in it. I mean, we can if we only want to have one strap button on it, but we could also move that bracket if we really needed to. But let's see if I have a custom shop Les Paul that might work better. This is my double cut Les Paul DC Pro, by the way. You can check out the video here. But this one should be a very appropriate fit, a rare black Les Paul Catalina. And now that is a perfect fit. I don't know, maybe there was something wrong with my other ones, because I remember they were like way too tight. Maybe they were installed in the wrong places or something. But what's nice about having this is now I could potentially like take my measurements and make replica versions of these. Obviously, I won't be able to get the really cool metal tags, which is honestly what makes these so cool. But I'm very happy to have at least one of these. I could use it for B-roll shots, because finding enough of these for a museum, probably a bit too difficult. But anyways, troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out those Les Paul tributes on my website in Reverb. And we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.